We're visiting with Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick here on Pratt on Texas. I have a couple more questions for you.
Sure.
One of them regarding the future now, because I am assuming that this is not a dead issue in your mind. Other lawmakers have come out and said, hey, we're going to start filing bills when it comes to the issue of abortion for the next legislative session. What, in your mind, what is your game plan going into the next legislative session on this issue?
Well, we're going to revisit the issue and see what we can do to write a bill that will survive a court challenge. Our sonogram bill has survived a court challenge, but we know. So we're going to have to go back and see what it is and how we can write it that will pass this court. But the truth is, Chad, and there's a bigger issue here than just this bill, and that is this is what the Supreme Court will do to our country if Hillary Clinton wins the election. We will have a liberal court that won't make any difference if a law is written and it's constitutional. They will, on their ideology, just simply bend the rules to say it's not, and they will take charge of the states and legislatures, which are in primarily Republican hands today. And that, look, I was Ted Cruz's campaign chair for Texas, as you know, and I worked hard for Ted, and he gave a valiant effort. But Donald Trump's our nominee, and I don't have a lot of patience for the never Trump people because we can't have Hillary. I don't agree with everything Donald Trump says or how he says it, but I've spent time with the man. I'm confident, and I believe that he'll be a successful president. He will appoint only conservatives to the court. He'll protect our Second Amendment, our guns, our freedom of speech and religion, our First Amendment, our 10th Amendment states' rights. I'll take a capitalist over a socialist/communist any day of the week.
Well, you just went into.
We've got to get Trump elected.
You just went into one of my topics that I was going to ask you about, and that is Donald Trump. There's this whole fantasy idea that there's going to be a dump Trump movement at the convention.
No.
Do you anticipate anything like that even happening?
No, this is just some people whipping things up. Everyone from people, at all spectrums. I mean, I'm embarrassed for Mitt Romney saying he's going to write in his wife's name for president. Give me a break. And Paul Ryan. Look, we may never, Chad, if we lose this election to Hillary. And look, your listeners are all good conservatives. I don't think you have many Hillary listeners here, or even if they don't listen, you don't have many Hillary people in West Texas. But let me tell you something. We may never get a Republican in the White House again because if Hillary wins and stacks the Supreme Court with liberals, they'll strike down voter ID laws. They will allow people who are not here legally to have a right to vote. It's tough enough to elect a Republican. So there's the future. My grandkids' future is on the line in this election. And in terms of the delegates, look, I'm a delegate to the convention, and I know the rules pretty well, and I know the sentiment of the people. The people who go to the convention, for the most part, are good grassroots activist voters. They're not going to turn back the will of 13 million Americans who voted for Trump. I mean, more people voted for him than in any other primary for anybody we've had on the ballot. And we're not, I say we, they aren't. I'm surely not. In fact, I will fight to stop that. Secondly, here's the reality, Chad. In most of these states, the deadlines have passed to get your name on the ballot.
Right.
You just don't say, you know what, we're changing horses and we're going to put this person on the ballot. It just doesn't work. So this is nonsense stirred up by the Washington Post and a handful of never Trumpers out there. And again, there's no one who wanted Ted to win more than me. I think he would have been a great president, but Trump is our guy. And again, I've spent time with him now. When you meet him one-on-one, everyone told me this. I found it hard to believe, but it is true. He listens. He's quiet. He's gracious. He's courteous. He's kind. He becomes a different person when he walks out from behind that curtain and gets up on stage.
Sure.
Which has been part of his appeal, quite frankly. But, poll came out today. He's up 43-39 in Rasmussen. None of these polls mean a lot now. It's early. They'll fluctuate. But he's in a position where he can win. These people who say, he's got to draw to an inside straight to win or it's going to be 1 in 1,000 shot. I disagree. And one of the reasons in Texas, and he'll win Texas, but here's what we need to do in Texas. We need to be sure he wins big. I won my race by 20 points. Abbott won his race by 20 points against our opponents in 2014. We don't want Trump to only eke out a 4-point win because that'll fire up the Democrats to come back and try to, have battles around Texas again.
Sure.
We need to beat them soundly, and we need to support all our people down ballot. we need to, elect our Republican sheriffs and our judges and our constables and our district attorneys and our legislators. And one thing I will say for the Trump folks who are listening, don't go in and just vote for Trump and walk out. There's a fear that can happen. We need, in Texas, we're a straight ticket voting state. Go in, vote straight ticket, and we need to keep our state strong. Look, we're leading the world in conservatism. We're leading this nation, and our policies, we don't get it all right all the time, but we're showing the conservative government works. And I don't want to give the Democrats a whiff of thinking they can get back in power.